September 12th, 2017. Greetings from a secure location in the South Carolina Theater of Operations. I evacuated from Tampa on Saturday morning. I watched the projected track Thursday, then into Friday. Friday evening, got concerned. The track was showing directly over Tampa. And then Saturday morning, when it shifted even more west for a direct hit over the downtown Tampa and South Tampa area, I made the wise decision and evacuated along with my K-9 security detail Sultan, who is resting somewhere below my feet here, who's very comfortable. Now, I did leave the cigar city of Tampa. However, I did bring my broadcast gear, so we will not miss a beat in terms of any future shows and me commenting on various aspects of the hurricane, recovery efforts, or anything else that grabs my attention. Now, one thing that I will tell you, whenever I leave, I always have my balls of steel that I never leave home without. So even though I evacuated, in my go bag, the balls of steel. Never leave home without. Also attached to me, I should also say. Now, I purposely laid very low the last 4 days for good reason. After I recorded the show on Friday, knowing there was a very high likelihood that I would evacuate, being in a level zone or zone A evacuation area, my feeling was I wanted to record the show and make the decision, if necessary, to evacuate. So I did monitor everything, all the media, various TV stations, both in Miami as well as Tampa, national media. The Weather Channel did an outstanding job. CNN also did great work, as much as it pains me to say that. Thankfully, BS, DNC, MSNBC was not available in my hotel. Got to stay at those kind of hotels more often. But I watched all the coverage and kept up to date, communicated with friends that decided not to evacuate. And I know some people are saying, well, General, why did you evacuate? That's not being an alpha. Being an alpha means being smart, making wise decisions. My feeling was, for my safety, where I was located, I was going to evacuate. And I would do that decision 1,000 times over. Some people wanted to stay. That's their decision. My decision was I'm going to evacuate because I knew there was a very high likelihood that power would be disrupted. And the way that they were talking on Friday and Saturday, Tampa was going to take a direct hit. Power could not be restored possibly for weeks, maybe months. My feeling was at that point, the show must go on. I wanted to prepare. Again, a general always prepares. Doesn't have just a backup plan, has a tertiary plan. So I had 2 backup plans ready to go, depending on what scenario took place. Now, let's talk about Hurricane Irma. Let's talk about some accolades that have to be given and some various companies that need to be taken to the woodshed and taken to task. Governor Rick Scott, outstanding leadership abilities that he displayed over the last week to 10 days. Crisscross the state, re-crisscross the state, re-crisscross the state, getting the word out to people, talking with local municipalities, their local emergency operations center, dealing with FEMA, talking to the president, National Hurricane Center, organizing the state effort. The state was prepared, local municipalities were prepared, federal government was prepared, a far different response than Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Andrew. Night and day. We have all learned, the state of Florida has learned, but Governor Scott did an exceptional job. He has my 5-star rating, A+++. Outstanding job. So to Governor Scott, a snappy salute. Job well done, sir. And I have had the opportunity to dine with Governor Scott at the Florida Governor's Mansion and to see him one-on-one at several other occasions, being involved with the Florida Association of Broadcasters. Governor Rick Scott, I was talking about the CEO of the FAB, but Governor Rick Scott, very personable. When you get Governor Scott in a small group of people, 5, 10, 15 people, 20 people, one-on-one, he's an extremely affable gentleman, very kind, very engaging. When he gets in front of large groups or the media or video cameras, something he locks up for some reason and doesn't have that warmth. Doesn't have it like me. Doesn't have that affability and that ease in front of the TV camera, in front of give me a microphone and I'm ready to go. Not everybody has that. It's a gift. What can I tell you? But Governor Scott has done an outstanding job. And I don't want to get political in this video, but I will tell you that if Governor Scott decides to run against incumbent Senator Bill Nelson for the Senate seat in 2018, I believe the way Governor Scott has handled the Irma crisis may have just elected him as the next senator from the state of Florida. Too early to tell. Again, not my purpose to be political today, but he did an outstanding job and should be commended. not only before, but now with the rescue and the recovery efforts and getting the state back up. He's been all over the state. He's really done an excellent job. And ultimately, in times of crisis, you don't necessarily need someone with a big personality, but you want somebody that displays the leadership abilities when the shit's hitting the fan, when times are getting tough, when everything's flying at you very quickly in multiple directions. You want someone that rises to the occasion. Governor Scott rose to the occasion, so job well done. Now, I've spoken to many friends, and I've witnessed and I've watched and listened to radio, TV, and watched the response of the power companies. Nobody in the state of Florida is blaming the power companies for loss of power. Everybody in the state of Florida, the 5.7 million customers, not people, because there's way more people that are affected, but the 5.7 million customers, which could represent, who knows, 30, 40, 50 million people, whatever it is, they understand that this was a huge natural disaster, a humongous storm of epic proportions. They're not blaming the power companies for loss of power. But the response from the power companies in terms of how they are communicating with their customers has been nothing short of atrocious. It has been unacceptable. It has been a giant failure. It has been piss poor. It is pathetic. It is an absolute disgrace. The senior executives of the three major power companies in Florida, Tampa Electric, FP&L, Florida Power and Light, and Duke Energy, all are paid and compensated, remunerated to the nth degree. They're making millions of dollars plus their bennies and their stock options. Nobody in any way, shape, or form has a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, even though they're monopolies. I mean, basically, how tough is it to run a monopoly? You sit on your ass, you basically have the customers that pour in, and you go in and get your guaranteed rate increase, and life is good, and you send out the dividend checks to your shareholders. Not that difficult. I mean, basically, the senior executive jobs for the power companies were created for DNF students. Because where else are these people going to go? You put them in a power company. Is it a monopoly? That's what happens. And that's the reason why the communications has been so bad from these power companies. Because they're monopolies. They don't give a damn. They know damn well you've got nowhere else to go. You see all these other restaurants and other companies that are rising to the occasion that as soon as they have power, they're getting back in business. They're ramping things up again. Why? Because they have competitors. They're not monopolies. When you have monopolies like the power companies, there's no incentive for them. Now, they're all saying, please be patient. We're working on it. In fact, I just saw some communications that came out from numerous CEOs and presidents of the power companies saying we're working on things. Telling somebody to be patient is unacceptable. People are being patient. People can handle change, but they can't handle uncertainty. I'll say that again. People can handle change, but they cannot handle uncertainty. And what they're experiencing right now from the power companies with the lack of communications is a massive level of uncertainty. Now, I see that Tampa Electric, the president, Gordon Gillette, not a very smart guy, not the brightest, says that, gave an update saying restoration will not take weeks, it'll take days, but we appreciate everyone's patience. Okay? Duke Energy now came out earlier today, actually probably about an hour before I began this video, saying that by midnight Friday, September 15th, the western portion of the service area, including Pinellas and Pasco counties, will have power restored. By midnight Sunday, September 17th, other areas, other counties, and there are other areas that are going to go a little bit longer in severely impacted areas. That's not good enough. That's not good enough to tell somebody, Friday, hang out. Power companies all have technology on board. They've got GPS. I believe they've got GPS. Every other major company's got GPS trackers on board on their trucks. They know where they are at all times. They've got central dispatch offices that are dispatching all the crews, including the thousands of workers that have come from across the country to assist in the Irma power restoration effort. So on their Facebook, Twitter, their garbage websites, the updates have been piss poor. They've been atrocious. They've got pictures of somebody in the field saying, here's so-and-so, one of our 6,000 people coming in, and they're describing how long it takes to put back up a major transmission line. That's wonderful. Nobody gives a rat's ass. Nobody gives a damn about that. What they care about is telling them when their area is going to get power. Now, how can you do that? People will be patient. But how can the power companies properly react? And if any of you power executives are listening, or the VP of Media Relations or Public Relations, where you're all making six figures and you got great benefits and you're getting nice stock options, start doing your job. Get your ass in front of a keyboard, get your ass in front of the TV cameras, and start saying the buck stops with us. We're going to give in-depth, real-time reports on the power restoration process. This has been atrocious, and this is every power company in the country. I've been in other areas where there are storms. They are notorious for doing this, for not communicating with their customers because they don't give a goddamn. They don't care because they're monopolies. But it's time for the governor and for every mayor to start putting the heat on the power companies, saying we need real-time updates. And it can be done very simply because every dispatch office knows where the crews are going. They know if they're sending crews to survey and assess damage for the transmission lines, the high wire transmission lines. They know if they're sending crews to substations or to underground areas or to neighborhoods. Put that in real time. Put that in real time, saying, here's an update at 6:07 p.m. Eastern Time. We have just sent 20 crews, a total of 117 utility workers, to the following neighborhood to check a substation and then see where the power is shorting out. Easy. Can be done. They know they're doing this. They're not doing it. They're not doing that. It's something that is so basic and so simple. Where do these executives, where do they get their communication skills from? Clearly they have none. They're getting millions of dollars and yet they can't communicate with their very own customers? That's unacceptable. Get off the schneid. Start doing your jobs. And I don't want to hear this bullshit. Well, you have to be patient. Everybody's patient. They are patient. They understand it's going to take time. What they are not willing to do is not be told and be kept, pardon the pun, in the dark by these power companies that, and again, they have teams of media relations people and public relations people and assistant media directors. They got more goddamn people in their public relations and media relations departments. But ultimately, it's the job of the CEO. When the shit hits the fan, it's time for a CEO to stand up to the TV camera, look them right in the eye and say, buck stops with me. I'm running the show. Here's exactly what's happening. I want to give you real-time reports, and I'm going to stay and come in front of these cameras, and we're tweeting things out in real time. We're putting it on our website. We're going to disseminate the word to every radio station, TV station, every method possible we're going to do. They're not doing it. They are failing big time. They are failing, and that is unacceptable. They have the technology. They've got the dispatch. They know where the crews are going. And by the way, I spoke to several friends of mine, one in South Tampa, who told me that they were driving all around South Tampa today, didn't see one Tampa Electric crew. That's not coincidental. Another couple of friends of mine in St. Petersburg, various areas of St. Petersburg, told me that they saw some crews and they were speaking to them, but the crews were saying, well, we're just here to assess things, but we've got to restore power on the business sections first. Well, if that's the case, fine. But communicate that to your customers. Go on Twitter, go on Facebook, go on your websites, write it down. Get to the TV stations, get to the radio stations. Every radio station will gladly report that. The TV stations will report that. That's the number one question being asked. When is my power going to come back? And the executives are failing. So Gordon Gillette, who is the president and CEO of Tampa Electric, don't just do one press conference and say, please be patient. Get your ass out on a regular basis. I don't give a goddamn if it's every 30 seconds. Get out there in front of the cameras and tell people what is happening in real time. To Harry, I believe it's Sedaris, who's the president of Duke Energy Florida, get your ass out in front of the cameras too. You've been nowhere to be found. You guys are all hiding. You're a witness protection because you're little chicken shits. You're afraid to get out in front of the cameras and afraid to take the heat. A real alpha male gets in front of that camera and takes the heat, even if it's coming at him 100 miles an hour. You take it. As President Truman said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Well, if you clowns can't take the heat being the CEO of a major power company in Florida and getting millions of dollars to do so, then resign and bring someone competent in that's going to stand in front of the camera and is going to tell people this is where we are on a real-time basis. Do your jobs. I will continue to spout off as necessary because I know that I am a mouthpiece and speak for many people that are frustrated, that don't have the soapbox and don't have the audience that I do. So I'm not afraid to take it directly to them and speak on your behalf. This alpha male is not going to sit back and get into a little safe space in a corner and hide and be a little shy. I'm going to be very vociferous, and I don't give a shit who I offend or who I make who happens to get upset, because I tell them the truth, and I tell it like it is. If you don't like it, too bad. I don't give a damn. Don't care. What I care about are these power companies that are responsible to the customers, who are monopolies that are failing the customers and failing to communicate. Do your jobs. I will continue now that I'm going to continue now that the recovery effort's underway. I'll continue to advise on what I see and continue with some video reports. I have my gear to do the show, Cigar Dave Show, Saturday if necessary. I'm hoping my power comes back at my residence. So far, no joy. And again, I have no clue when it's coming back. Why? Because the executives at Tampa Electric, the CEO, the president, their public relations people, their media relations people, they're nowhere to be found. They're in witness protection, not telling anybody when the power's coming back. I'd love to be able to report, hey, I know my power's coming back by Thursday at 5 p.m. or Friday, or at least give me an update on what the problems are. So to the power companies, I speak on behalf of every one of the 5.3 million customers in the state of Florida that have no power. Start communicating. Get off your ass, get in front of a camera, get in front of a keyboard, and start communicating on a real-time basis, second by second, where every crew is, what they're doing, and where they're going, and when to anticipate. Every single area anticipates to have power back. Do your job. That is the general. That is all for now. I will keep you updated as the situation warrants.